27.6 degrees, 27.6. And the starting mileage is 49533, 49533. Hey YouTube, it's gentlemansnine. This is Friday night. It is 7:50 and I'm just leaving work. How ridiculous is that? So I just spent the last hour, or at least an hour, talking with another coworker. So let's see. Hopefully I can describe this in an easy enough way that it makes sense. So in a traditional project, a software project, the business requests something. We have people that do analysis to figure out what they're talking about. We design something and we come up with a list of tasks, and this is the part specifically that I'm talking about. We come up with a list of tasks that need to be done in order for this project to be built and worked on and tested and blah blah blah. And each of these tasks come with estimates from the appropriate person who's going to work on it, or the team that's going to work on it. So at the end of the day, what you have is a list of tasks and estimates. And if you lay these tasks end to end, based on resource, you can calculate the completion date. So let's just pick something simple. Let's say you determine that you're going to have 10 tasks. Each task takes exactly 1 day, and only one person is going to work on it. So that means this project will finish in 10 days. Simple? Okay, so if you remember before, I said we're going to switch over to the agile methodology, which kind of turns a lot of this on its head. And one of the things is, in every 2 weeks of effort, the team decides what they can actually accomplish in 2 weeks. So whether that's using these estimates or whether it's using gut feel, you only really worry about what you can do in 2 weeks. Okay, so hopefully all that made sense. We have one of our current project teams. We asked them to go agile, and part of that is, what can we commit to do in 2 weeks? And the way they figured this out was they figured out a capacity for each person. So for each person on the team, how much work can I do in 2 weeks? Obviously they took out meetings and all this other stuff, days off, etc. And then they went through and for each of these tasks, they created estimates, and then using math, right? If I say I'm available for a total of 50 hours of work, I add up the tasks until I get 50, right? That's pretty easy. And they did this for everybody. Now the problem is, in the 2 weeks, some tasks are dependent on other tasks, and they didn't calculate this. And so in this first iteration, the first 2 weeks of work, they completely missed their mark. They said they were going to do this 2 weeks of work, and they completely bombed it and only did like, it wasn't even half. I think they only did like 40% of it or something. Okay, so no problem. In the second iteration, we calculated our capacity wrong. So they modified their capacity numbers to be less. And guess what? They missed again. They did it a third time, missed again. In fact, for this last one, this third iteration, of the tasks, or whatever you want to call it, that they attempted to do, they only completed one. Now there are external factors here, but I'll just leave it like that. So today the meeting was talking about a fourth iteration. What are we going to do in the next 2 weeks? And they started out the same way again. They figured out capacity and they started asking for estimates. And I said, and now remember, depending on which methodology or whatever you want to talk about, Agile doesn't necessarily need estimates. What it needs is commitment by the team they can do something. Now some people have to sit down and do the math to figure out what they can do and all this other stuff. But anyways, at the end of the day, they have to say, I think I can do this, or I think I can't. So as they start out in this meeting to talk about capacity and all this other stuff, I said, how about this? Let's not even bother calculating out capacity, and let's not even bother doing estimates. And of course, there was a whole uproar about this, because how can we figure out how much we can do? So back and forth, and I said this, look, you did capacity and estimates in the first iteration, and you failed. You did it in the second iteration, and what did you do? You failed. You did it in the third, and you failed. Now you're telling me in this fourth iteration, you're going to do capacity planning, and you're going to come up with these estimates, and you're going to be successful? I don't think so. I said, let's just take that off the board, and let's just look at these things and agree that we can do these or not. So round and round, blah, blah, blah. And guess what? We didn't do estimates. They agreed to a list of tasks that was significantly smaller. They didn't base it on math. They based it on, hey, I think we can actually do this. So hopefully they'll be successful. But this is a pretty radical idea that I introduced. We had actually talked about this earlier in a previous management meeting. But basically what I said is, let's agree to do some work. Let's not bother giving estimates. It's pretty radical. And I bet you some of you software people out there are thinking I'm nuts. But I'm guessing 2 weeks from now, they're going to be able to look up that board of the things they agreed to do, and they're actually going to have something done. So we'll see how that turns out. Crazy idea? Eh? Alright. Oh, and you know what I should also say is, this person I spent an hour talking to, he said that, and so remember now, his project is different than the one I was just talking about. He said that tasks and estimates are critical to success. And I said, because I just told him that for this other project, I said, no estimates. So we argued basically for an hour, and I said, okay, so everything you just said, that team tried it and they failed. Basically everything he said, well, there's other external factors. I said, everything you're talking about, this team recognizes there were problems, and they failed. How is it that calculating capacity and providing estimates, how will that force them to be successful? And of course, he can't come up with a reason. But I think at the end of the day, he agreed that we have to be realistic and actually think about what we can accomplish. So anyways, I don't know if any of that made any sense. That was basically a big gigantic rant on my part. But anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Ending mileage 49575, 49575.